Welcome back for more of the May 2022 Brimfield Flea Market. It just keeps going and going. If you like this type of video, don't forget to subscribe because I got a lot more flea market videos coming up this summer. They've got what look to be World War II uniforms here. I'm thinking this one is a Marine uniform. I could be wrong. I definitely am not an expert, but I think that's Marines. This Zeppelin here, or blimp, looks almost exactly like the one that Randy gets on Christmas morning in A Christmas Story. That's pretty cool. So I'm guessing that's probably from the 30s. It's a nice old typewriter there. I like the color red. You don't see red typewriters too often. There's some old Matchbox cars there. I think those are probably late 60s, early 70s. And now this Garmin, at first I thought this was a GPS because that's what I know Garmin's for. But now that I look at it, I think this is probably a fish finder. That would be my guess. Because I can't imagine a GPS being that big or needing to be that big. This skull here is interesting. So it looks like a cow skull maybe, and then there's a piece of driftwood stuck through it, and it kind of looks like a snake coming out of its eye, which is pretty creepy, but also pretty awesome. There's an old tin toy. I'm guessing this is probably Japanese, probably 1950s. Just a guess, I'm not an expert. Nice old model train set there. I remember when I was a kid back in the 1980s, I went to see my great uncle up in Massachusetts, and he had an enormous train set in his basement. It literally took up the entire basement. The set was probably 15 feet by 20 feet, at least. And then I also got a train set of my own that we had down in our basement, which was obviously nowhere near as big as that, but since then I've always been interested in model trains. This push car is pretty neat. This, I'm guessing you steer it by putting your feet on the axle there, and then it goes forward by pulling that lever back and forth. This here, I'm really not sure what this is here. So obviously it's a little miniature house, but then it's got the four, looks like Christmas lights to me on it. And I don't know what that is. Nice selection of comics there on display. Some old Silver Surfer, Star Wars, Wolverine. Pretty nice. But I don't think I'm going to go through them all today. These old signs are pretty awesome. Fried chicken there. And then this old railroad sign. You can tell this is old based on the glass marbles that are in it rather than reflective material. That's how they used to do like stop signs and other road signs had glass marbles in them. Zenith Chromacolor. I'm fairly certain that was a TV brand in probably the early 70s. And this was probably in a store as a display. And this is a Domino's gambling wheel. I really have no idea how Domino's works as a game, so I don't know what any of those symbols mean. And this here looks to be like an old salesman sample or a store display showing different types of varnishes you could buy for wood. Old strength testing machine there of some sort. I would love to play with a lot of this stuff, but it's probably best not to touch. And here's something you don't see every day. This is an old stereoscopic movie viewer from a penny arcade. I've never seen one of those for sale before. Here's one of those stamped metal dollhouses from the 50s or 60s. You don't really see any toys made out of stamped metal like that anymore, as far as I know. Coming up on the left here is probably one of the coolest vintage TVs ever. the Philco Predicta, and you can spot these from a mile away because of their distinctive design. They came out between 1958 and 1960, and it was the first TV with a swivel screen, and the CRT tube is actually separate from the rest of the television. Pretty awesome. And let's take a look at some rocks and minerals here. Now this here, I think this is just a piece of glass. I don't think that's naturally forming. But it's nice to look at. That is one big bottle of whiskey there. Some nice vintage hubcaps there. Now that doll there is kind of creepy. I'm not sure if that's actually a doll or if that's part of a statue, like a cherub, maybe from a church or something. Not sure. I like this tree sculpture here. I'm just worried that if I bought it, I would completely destroy it getting it home. There's a couple of nice old reel-to-reel tape players. I'd love to get one of those someday. Now this table here is definitely retro overload for me. These mid-1980s WWF figures and Nintendo games. Pretty awesome. Super Mario Bros. 3, probably the best Nintendo game I've ever played. Probably the one I played the most. And let's see, what wrestlers can we name here? We got Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, is that Nikolai Volkov, Junkyard Dog, who else we got? Brutus the Barber Beefcake, was that his name? Can't remember the other ones. Now these Nintendo games here are pretty cool. These are, you know, very collectible, but when you start getting into the boxed games like this is where the money is. Now if this were sealed in mint condition, one of these recently sold for $156,000. Now this one's not worth anywhere near that, but I didn't see a price on it, but I would guess it's in the hundreds of dollars, most likely. These speakers here are interesting. I've never seen any like this before. They actually look like motorcycle gas tanks to me. I really like this bench here. It's very intricately carved, but I think I would be too afraid to sit in it. And is that a genuine Remington horse sculpture? Probably not. These antique ship models are amazing, especially these battleships. I love them. Wow, Bozo on the Farm. That's mildly terrifying. And a Superman paddle ball, probably from the 1970s. I don't know about you, but I was never able to get a paddle ball to work properly. I could never hit it. Maybe I just wasn't coordinated enough. These toys here are in great condition, which sometimes makes me wonder if they've been restored. I honestly don't know if they have or not, but anytime an antique toy is just too bright and too clean, it just makes me wonder. Now this pedal car here on the left, I'm fairly certain this is new. This just does not look like an antique to me at all. The one on the right does. This definitely looks like an antique. My guess would be 1960s on that. And this is the creepiest sculpture I've ever seen. I don't know if it's supposed to be a dog or a cat, but it is weird looking. I love it. Now this vendor here had a ton of great toys from the 70s, 80s, 90s mostly. And a lot of it is stuff that I grew up with. Like this robot here, kind of reminds me of a Robotech robot.
Oh yeah,
Not sure if that's what it actually is though.
I love action figures is my bread and butter.
They don't make toys like this anymore. This toy gun, probably from the 80s I'm guessing, looks very realistic. Nowadays I think it's illegal for them to sell realistic looking toys like that. If you tried to play with that today, you'd probably end up in jail. Got a Slimer toy there from the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And looks like a proton pack. Don't think I ever had any Ghostbuster toys when I was a kid. Definitely loved the movie though. Got some old video games in here, Super Nintendo, bunch of Tiger handhelds. And some newer stuff like Nintendo DS. And the prices here weren't that bad. $5 is probably about what those are worth. And I think that's a Teddy Ruxpin tape. I actually ended up picking this up. It's a Deer Hunter computer game from the late 90s, and it came with a video cassette too. I'm not actually into hunting, I just like the computer game aspect of it. Whole bunch of Smurf stuff there. And these Micro Machines and Star Wars toys here, those are from about the mid-90s, and I have a whole bunch of those at home in a box somewhere. Actually, probably in my storage unit. I don't think they're really worth that much, but I definitely liked them at the time. There's so much good stuff on that table there. Return of the Jedi, Voltron, Transformers. Ice Pirates. I saw that movie in the theater. I think it was probably like 83, 84. It was terrible. It was kind of a comedy ripoff of Star Wars. And it was just bad, even to a young kid like me at the time. It was just terrible. Mask. I used to watch the Mask TV show in the mornings before school. I think it came on either after or before G.I. Joe. So much good stuff here. Here's more of those speakers that look like motorcycle gas tanks. Sebring. I'll have to look into that. I really don't know where those would be from. Nice old payphone there. Pretty sure it's been restored. Just looks a little bit too nice. And these transistor radios look familiar. I think this guy was at Marrier's Flea Market, because I'm pretty sure I picked up a couple of those over there. Another Predicta TV. I've rarely seen them before, and then to see them twice at the same show is pretty amazing. Not sure if they're the same model or not. I know there were a couple models of these, but they definitely look very similar. More model train sets. And these look a lot like the ones I would have had in the mid-'80s as a kid. An inflatable Ronald Reagan. Definitely never seen one of those before. It's another Zeppelin model. A lot like the one from A Christmas Story again. Talking Canine, that's the dog robot from Doctor Who. I think the episodes with Canine were, I think those were early 80s, I believe. Boston Terrier statue. I'm always on the lookout for those. It's a little beat up though, so I'm going to pass on that. And another Boston Terrier statue. I think that one, I think he was selling it for $80, which I don't know if it's worth that much, but that's just way too much for me. It's a gigantic traffic signal there. And these are cool. It looks like, you know, somebody just took some recycled, I don't know what they are, canisters of some sort that they turned into little robot statues. Very creative. Then he turned these old oil cans into little creatures. And now this is like the most Tonka trucks I've ever seen in one place before. And there's tons of duplicates. That's just amazing to me. I don't know how you find that many duplicate Tonkas like that. You know, I can imagine finding one of each, but to find multiples like that of each kind, that's, I don't know where you would find those, or where you'd find so many of them. And these are cool. These are like the little, I guess, shuttles or scooters you'd see at an airport. So many Tonkas. This guy had a lot of great stuff too. A lot of old like Marvel comic related items. Mostly from the 70s and 80s, looks like. This is a Marvel Comics Viewmaster set. Looks complete. And this is a Marvel Superheroes role-playing game, a tabletop game from, I think it said 87. And it's completely sealed. And this is a set of Marvel comics that they shrunk down to the size of a regular book and collected in this set here. And I rarely see these for sale.
I will, yep.
So, like, worried.
How much are you asking for these?
$50.
It's probably not a bad price, but it was just a little bit more than I was willing to spend at that
I've
time.
never seen those before.
Like someone to like hold the binding, you know?
Yeah, no.
They're really good.
No, I'm a collector, I know. Don't bend anything. I got you. How much are you asking on this?
See him on plastic.
No, I never have.
And again, I don't know if that's a bad price or not, but that's way more than I was looking to spend. This is an Apple Macintosh Classic from about 1990 or so. It's in pretty good condition, but I actually already have an Apple Classic, so don't need to get another one. But it looks to be complete, and with the manuals, which I do not have. And that is one heck of a cell phone advertising piece there. I've never seen one of those before. That's pretty amazing. And these are old chewing gum display racks from the store, you know, like you'd see at the checkout at the grocery store and a convenience store. Those are pretty cool. You never know who you're going to meet at the Brimfield Flea Market. I like this dinosaur sculpture here made out of old auto parts. Very impressive. And sharp. Honeydew donuts. I don't know if that's a Massachusetts thing. I always see honeydew up here. I've never seen them in Connecticut, and I've never had a honeydew donut. Are they any good? And this vending machine here looks like something out of the 80s that you'd see at the grocery store, the sticker machine. This has to be the oldest vacuum cleaner I've ever seen in person. It's an old Kenmore, and it looks to me like, I don't know, 30s or 40s would be my guess. I have no idea if it still works, but I just like seeing stuff like this that I've never seen before in person. And there you have it. That's the end of part 3 of the May 2022 Brimfield Flea Market. I'll be back next week with part 4, the grand finale. And again, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. It helps out a lot. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video, and I'll see you next time.